The tender has closed, the contract has been awarded, and it's time for your first construction meeting. Let's get into it. Welcome to What the RFI. I'm Matt Brennan, and this is the podcast all about CA. So the tender is closed, contract's awarded, and it's time to kick off your first site meeting. All right, this is exciting times. You're proud. You took it from design to this point. And before we get into the details of it, this is kind of concluding our 3-part series of how to run a construction site meeting, how to use AI note takers. And again, today is about running that very first meeting. We're going to dive into the details because it's much different than any other meeting, from meeting 2 to meeting number 50. And if you missed those, they will be in the links below. They'll be up here. Check out last episode, which, like I said, talked about running your site meetings. And then the other video was about AI note takers, and a link above as well. And in the description, take a look, because again, kind of these 3 shows kind of back to back will really basically put your right foot forward and get going with these site meetings. Okay. And again, this one, I'm going to share my screen, so I encourage you to check out the YouTube, What the RFI channel, like, subscribe, all those good things. But lots of benefits. But again, I'll be describing it throughout the video, and you can probably just listen on its own. So let's just set the scene here, okay? The tender is officially closed. Bids have come in. And maybe it's a public opening. We open up all the tender bids. We go through it. We check that all the items were actually filled out. And that's an episode by itself. But in the end, we've reviewed the bids. We've basically provided a letter of recommendation to the owner saying we suggest this contractor to move forward. And at that point, we'll give the contractor a call, celebrate, crack open champagne. Congratulations. Welcome to the team. Now it's down to business. And what I mean by that is we're going to set up our first site meeting. We're going to schedule it in the calendar, see what works, see where they're at on site, how long they're going to take to mobilize. If they're not ready, then we will meet most likely in the owner's office, the architect's office, maybe one of the consultant's office, whatever. We're going to find a good common place to have the initial kickoff meeting if the site is not mobilized, which chances are they won't be. Okay. And before we head off to that meeting, one thing we definitely want to do is create an agenda. And we talked about this in the last episode, preparing for it. We will email this in advance of it. We'll talk to the owner if there's any general items. This is more, like I said, it's a kickoff meeting. So there is certain things, and we're going to dive into it in a moment here. Okay. And always, again, I love my software, and, for software to run this, again, usually we're just using Microsoft Word because it's a great meeting note tool. As noted in my kind of first episode of this series, is we use Granola AI, and we run it just to capture any notes that we missed during the typing it. But definitely, again, bring your laptop to that meeting. Do your meeting notes right there as we go through the site meeting there. A lot of power advantage to it, and then we can get it out. So the meeting has started. We've got our agenda open. And again, like as noted, email this advance to everybody. Okay. In part of this template, we've got our branding, we've got our project name with site meeting number 1 agenda, which once we take this, we're going to change that to notes and record it. Our project number, the time it started, the location, and of course the date. Now, just like as we showed in the last episode there, we do want to do attendance, want to make sure. And being a site kickoff meeting, everyone's going to be here. We're going to have, the owner, of course, the contractor. We've got the RFI team, or the CRP, the architect of record there. We've got Pam from B Civil Engineering, structures, mechanical, the whole team, even landscapes here. And at that point, I know they're not involved really much at the beginning of the project, but again, it's just, this is our kickoff. We want to have everyone there, and it'd be nice just to do that, and away we go. Okay. In this, of course, we got their initials for the company. This is really important, addressing to who the action items belong to. And then, of course, we would have all the emails listed out. So if anyone needs to get in touch with everyone, they know who they are. Okay. So the first topic is the general discussion. So ideally, let's do an introduction to the team. Probably these are the same consultants you're working with. Maybe there's the one lone wolf that has never worked with anyway. No worries. Great introduction. Get it all out there. In addition to this, what the RFI has provided a centralized OneDrive, Dropbox, or Google Drive, whatever, for of all the project folders. This would be IFT, IFC. If the issue for construction drawings haven't been issued, this would be a great time to bring it up. Note it when they're going to come and when they're being prepared and when they can go to the printers for site, and away they go. Just in terms of protocol, I like to note that all communication to flow through what the RFI in this case, and we should be CC'd on all correspondence. If any of these emails start going just to directly to the consultants, we're not CC'd. We're the CRP. It's nice just having an idea what's going on. We don't need to be a gatekeeper, a bottleneck in that sense, but we should be in the know. So that's just one element in respect to that. We should have it. Okay. Definitely, again, in response to communication, emails should include the name, school, project. I hate getting emails where it's just like anchor bolts or steel shop drawings. Great. What job is this for? I probably know based on the contractor, but I work with some contractors from the same company. And again, it's just easy just to kind of do it. Now, if there's any kind of outstanding building permits or post-tender addendums, as I noted the IFC documents, this is a good time to bring it up. Where are we at? Yeah, building permit's been complete. Owner has it in hand. He's going to deliver it over to the contractor. Great. Little things like that. The actual physical contract between the owner and the contractor, that's where we should know where we're at. What stage is it being finalized? This takes time. Again, it's just something nice to document in this kind of general conditions area. The next one, we're going to get into site safety, security, and uses in the facility. So this is all about safety, right? And where we're going to bring into this. So of course, at the first time of arriving to the actual physical site, we're going to talk about, users are going to sign in and out, sign in and out of the trailer. In addition to that, what do we need to do for an orientation? Maybe this is something we can do in advance. Watch a video provided by the contractor, fill out a form, bring that form with us. Do we have to sit in a site orientation as we arrive on a site? This is where the contractor is going to tell us exactly how. If you want to come onto our site, you've got to obey by these rules. So these are the kind of what we're going to be talking about in this section. Risk management, they'll have a physical report. This is something that your owner's going to want to see, especially like I do a lot of schools. We want to know how this is playing out with the risk management side. The chain link fencing, the security fencing, operation hours, all those kind of things. And this kind of dives into the contractor safety manual. Again, that's going to note their muster locations, where their first aid locations are to be located about it. It's just all those details that are coming directly from the contractor. And it's just taking a note, is the manual being prepared? Is it being delivered? And as we're going through the site meeting, I would, make my general comments and add to these notes. So this is all pre-filled out. And now I'm just adding what we discussed in the meeting. Site cleanliness, maybe the school district has some protocols with it in that respect. We'll talk about temporary site fencing. Typically, that probably is noted on your phasing plan that was provided, or kind of a construction safety plan that was provided in the tender docs. Whatever the case is, we have a specific line item just to talk about in that sense. On-site security during construction, 24-hour contact number. Who's really leading this project? Who wants to give out their cell phone during this meeting? It's Jeff from site. Great, great time to disclose contact numbers if anything comes out. And is there going to be site security 24 hours, right? When site shuts down, do they have cameras? Do they have monitoring systems? It's all good information just for records. It may raise some questions. The owner may say, well, that's not going to happen. Or like, if there is security cameras, are they pointing to the existing school? Because this is important, right? So all these little details we're hashing out in this initial kickoff meeting. Okay. Vehicle access. Where are we entering onto the site? Maybe you did a phasing plan to show the construction access and the phasing between all the different, complicated phases of an existing building with a new, and then the tear down of the old, or whatever the case is. Where are we providing access? We most likely already know this. The contractor may have some comments. Whatever the case is, this is a great idea, great moment to talk about it. The next one, we've got the safety issues, responsibility of the contractor, safety plans, work safe, BC. Depending you are, there's probably some general guidelines based on the state you're in. So these are all, things just to bring up, talk about, low kind of priority items. But again, it's just good to talk about. The temporary office. So when is the offices starting to be arriving on site? When are they mobilizing? Note this, right? Bring this into the agenda, talk about it, and find out, are they mobilizing right away? If they're not, then why not? You've got a beautiful summer right now. Why aren't you taking advantage of it, right? All these things that you can start to help provide and keep moving. Okay? Sanitary facilities, and again, based on the state and what the governing rules are, depends on the size of project. We actually require physical flush toilets in that. So again, that may be something that we would be expecting. Maybe it's just general porta potties. Temporary powers written in our specifications, knowing it's coming from the contractor. Will there be internet at the trailer? It should be. We know it in our specs because we want to have internet to run our site meetings, connect by hybrid options if we've got someone that can't make to the meeting, but they can be by Zoom, Teams, whatever the case. Fantastic. That's a great way to do. We'll talk about maybe having a big screen TV in their site trailer, bring up the drawings. It's very helpful, ties into the Teams thing that we just talked about. And temporary water, temporary gas, and again, what the general construction hours. So we're talking about the operations that the contractor's doing. So we're asking the questions, contractors telling us, we're filling in this agenda and noting it just as a kind of a contractual document for records going forwards. And then we get into the operations aspect of it. That's where we've got noisy work. So again, there's certain bylaws maybe they have to abide by. Road cleaning and dust. Again, the bylaws are going to dictate that. For our school sites, absolutely no smoking or vaping on site. So if they want to do that, they've got to go down the block and do it in the neighborhood or wherever they want to do it. So again, maybe this is not applicable. Great, no problem. Ideally, all contractors have business licenses. Pretty straightforward. Another one, criminal record checks. Was this part of your tender? Did you say to the contractor every subtrade had to have a criminal record check? That's up to you. This is stuff that you need to lay out in those tender documents that come into effect here. And this is just a triple check that we're going to be getting in that. Because again, we've had problems with individuals coming to site and they did have a criminal record and it was a problem between the owner and the contractor. And thankfully we had it in the tender document saying criminal records had to be required. So this is just a triple check to make sure that we're doing everything. Now we're getting into the actual construction side of things. So let's talk about the building permit. Building has been received from the city of Burnaby. Actually, it hasn't, right? We got issues where when's it going to come? This is an immediate red flag. If you don't have that building permit in hand, unless you got an agreement with the city or a temporary or foundation permit or something like that, this can cause a lot of problems. This could be your first delay. I don't know. We'll see. This is the first CO because of it. In this case, typically we have that building permit at the meeting. We're going to pass it over to the contractor and away we go. Okay. And what items need to be provided by the contractor? Well, part of this building permit, we need damage deposits. We need disposal of excavation materials form. There may be certain formwork that has to be filled and submitted to that city that you're in where this project is. Maybe pre-damage on site meetings have to take place. Your ESC plan showing for erosion settlement control plans where you're noting that goes into play. The city's going to be involved with this, right? And they'll take your plans and work with it. The coordination from the city for all the inspections is the responsibility of the contractor. So, but again, this is just raising it up. The next section we get into is submittals. So project construction schedule. I'd like to see a construction schedule right now. We know in your tender bid that you noted 141 weeks from the project start date. We get that. But we want to see an actual physical breakout of the construction schedule now. Shop drawing schedule would be nice, and the cash flow, right? We want to go through all these details. We want to expect when to see our shop drawings. We want to see kind of like a typical progress draw claim because we're going to start getting those every single month. Performance bonds, right? All your bonding, that ties into your insurance as well. All this information needs to be provided from the contractor on both ends and the owners as well. So, because they'll have their insurance here on their land and vice versa, and you'll have your insurance and all the legalities. But at least we're covering it, we're just bringing it up. And if these items have already been done, check, 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 then note it's been done. It's closed, closed, closed. A lot of these items should be info only or closed, and a few items are going to travel over to the next agenda. Okay. Schedule of values. So again, based on all the consultants, list of sub trades. The subcontractors typically require that for part of our tender package. Again, we just want to know who's going to be performing the work. Then we get into the engineering side of things. So we've got the surveying. So we've got our survey of the original property. Of course, the contractor is going to get their own surveyor. They'll compare notes, make sure everything's aligned. I had one job recently come out from tender into construction, and there was some minor discrepancies out by a couple inches on the property lines. We cleaned it up. Everything was good, no issues, and away we go. But still, thank you for checking from the contractor side, and it's all good. The geotech. The first thing that we start off with is digging in the ground, and sometimes we find some, unfortunate things. Maybe this was a fill site, maybe some bad soils. Even though we did everything we could from the geotech and provided stripping plans, sometimes you just don't know, right? This is an episode on its own. I definitely will cover this in the future podcast. But having your geotechs right there give us an idea what to expect right at the beginning. Really, good information. Compaction and concrete testing. These are things that are going to come. Is the contractor allowed to select who they're going to do for the testing agencies, or is it going to be the owner? Is it part of the specs? That's something that'll be discussed. At this point, they may say, we work with these groups. Yeah, we worked with them as well. We're happy, proceed. Again, have the conversation now so we can just get it out and get it done. And the next kind of subsection is the site meeting. So ideally, we do a once a month site meeting on site. Everyone should be on site. And again, the hybrid's there. It's fantastic. But again, at the beginning of the project, you're going to need your mechanic, you need your civil, you need your electrical, you certainly need structural. Landscape, they're the only one that's going to be excused. And we definitely want the geo at the beginning of it. Eventually the geo will, once we've brought everything back up to grade and, the foundations are done and the soils have been excavated and all that. Once all that was work done, then yeah, the geo can be excused. But in the meantime, they need to be at that meeting. Okay. So good things to point out. Now, depending on how the meetings are, sometimes we do a bi-weekly, every second week on Teams. That's the one time, if because maybe it is a bit of a distance to travel, and it doesn't help. I mean, it's right. It does help. It lets us keep RFIs and submittals and everything on track. Again, at the beginning of the project is always fun. There's lots, again, what are we finding with soils? So maybe we do want to connect a little bit more and just keep on track, and it's probably good. At these site meetings, again, as I noted in the last video, I like to be the CRP to be on record to run the site meeting. So we take the notes. Participants are encouraged to do their own notes, of course, and any unscheduled meetings to be coordinated by others. Once we do the notes, we distribute them right away and get them out. Progress claim. This is all about kind of each month as we get that progress claim submitted to us by the contractor, showing what the status of where things are moving forward and what their billings and everything. We like to see a draft progress claim from them. We like to go through it and just see how it fits through. Is there some sections that we want broken out by detail more? It's a good 3-4 page document that we definitely are going to be looking after over the next kind of 2 to 3 years. So we want to make sure that we're comfortable with the way it's broken down, and all the consultants will review this and get that in place. Any statutory declaration required for second and further claims. Again, this all ties into the physical contract on itself. And then we've got the request for takeover. Okay. Before we called it substantial. This is something the CCDC2 language has recently changed. So now it's request for takeover, right? Basically, request for takeover from, the owner, handed off by the contractor. So ideally, we've got a whole procedures list that we actually include in our specs. It's a very detailed breakdown list to ensure that nothing's missed, and we're not on that day of doing an S1001 or a fire alarm verification testing and we're going, well, where's this document? It's a nice way of just showing all the procedures. And honestly, this procedures start to really, we start to jump in 3-4 months in advance of the project closing, because we don't want to wait till the last minute. We want to get things moving. It takes time to get documents, and next thing you know it, we're at that day where they want to call for an occupancy and we've only got half the documents in there, so we got to push it off. So let's be proactive, right? And this is kind of just talking about that procedures in that respect. We talk about the list of deficiencies and the values on the list and how we're going to handle this with that request for takeover. One thing, we don't want to be called too early, right? We don't want any of our team, the architect of record, to be called out to site and look at something where we don't need to make a deficiency list where this wall's not painted. We want to come out when you feel it's completely done. You've vetted out, you've gone through everything, and you're ready to go. The owner's operations manuals, O&Ms, we want, and record drawings, just how we're going to handle that. When do we expect to see those? Again, at the end of the project. But again, it's just a discussion point for that. Next, we're going to move into the field reviews. This is where we do want to talk about our, consultants to take ownership, send, issue their field reviews to the contractor, CC us. So we've got a record copy, of course, CC make sure it goes to the contractor so they can follow up on any deficiencies. And we certainly have a minimum. We want to be notified advance. So for example, we bring this one up and make it very clear is do not pour that concrete slab until we've reviewed the poly and the slab on grade, the vapor barriers, all that kind of stuff. We want to see it. Before you backfill, I want to make sure there's foundation insulation there, right? These are things I want to take a look. Before you start boarding, I want to see the fire stopping. Very important to hammer in. Do not go ahead. Do not pass go until you let me come to site and inspect it to make sure. Because once everything's covered up, it's much difficult. And yes, they can send out photos. And if you're okay with that, go for it. No problem. But ideally, we should have this clarity right from the beginning. Okay. And the list just goes on, right? And that kind of stuff. And consultant review, same thing. We're just have a kind of brief conversation about this, what to expect from it. You get the gist of it. And now we kind of move into the general meeting notes, agenda items that we're going to start to talk over and over. So this was kind of the front end. We deal with it, and really it disappears after this meeting. Any of those kind of items that we talked about on the general conditions awaiting this, I would probably just move that into a general column. Maybe it moves into the schedule column, and maybe it's a shop drying item. Maybe it comes into there. So we kind of reshuffle them. We delete the majority of those sections that we just talked about. And now our site meeting really starts to kick off. Schedule 4 week out. Look, what do you got, contractor? We're mobilizing a site. We're getting a survey out there. That's what we're expecting. We're going to bring our excavators and we're going to start digging. Great. Note it in your meeting notes. Way you go. And as I talked in the last video, I like to track the utilities. So we've got BC Hydro here who handles all the electricity, and then we got Fortis Gas. And sometimes we actually got communications through TELUS, Rogers, Fido, or the Verizon, or whatever the case is. That's where we want to note those individuals that are going to be installing that. And this is good just to keep on track. I don't note this every single meeting, like unless there's a drastic change. Target date is, October 2026 for the install. Great. Note it. If it changes, that's fine. But we want to track it each meeting and just make sure that we're not off track. If we're off track, then we're in problems, and then we want to record it and know it and why and how did it get off there. Okay. So those are kind of high level schedule items. We'll move into shop drawings. Again, just protocol. All the shop drawings, submit shop drawings, be emailed. The consultants are to be CC'd on this because we're not a bottleneck. We don't want to do that. We'd like the shop drawing log from the contractor to be sent to us. And one thing, please, contractor, review the shop drawings before you send them to us, right? We want to make sure that you guys are happy with this, that it actually isn't a proposed alternate. It's in line. It's actually matching what was the specified product and not in the same model and all these things. So by them doing their due diligence, reviewing it before it comes to us, they're probably saving a lot of headaches. And I bet you there's a lot of things that we don't see happening because they've already caught it. And that's fantastic. Okay. And of course, in leading into that, no outstanding shop drawings. We didn't have any because there's nothing that's been issued to us, but maybe there is. Maybe there's shop drawing 1, 2, 3 by the time this site meeting kicks off. Okay. Then we get into the changes, proposed changes. In this case, we call them CCNs. Just talk how we're going to do that from a process standpoint. Us as the lead, CRP, we will basically put that together. We will issue it out, and then it goes through us. So again, it's just a process and confirming that between everybody. We want to make sure we're doing this right. Once the contractor gets it, they're going to provide us pricing. We'll review it and coordinate it, and then eventually a change order is going to be produced. So again, talk about your process, how you do as a firm. Maybe use bulletins. That's a little bit different. So again, this is a great time just to kind of note how these changes are going to be issued out. Okay. And basically with the change orders, who's signing off on it and going from there, this is a great time to talk about is, do we have any post-tender addendums? Can we get this into the contract? No. Okay, it's going to be our first proposed change. Great. Okay. Next section is RFIs. What the RFI? Do we have any RFIs? Maybe we've got a survey question. Maybe not. Maybe this being the first kickoff, there's no RFIs. Great. Let's keep going and get moving. And now we kind of come to the point where we've done the majority of the heavy lifting of the meeting. And now we're going to go into each individual. So any new business from the owner. Do you have any new items, owner? Yeah, I'm going away on holidays. Great. Note that. Please CC myself, the principal, and my 2 project administrators. They really appreciate it. Great. We'll note that in the meeting notes here. Any other new business? Just want to stress the safety of and the concerns for the children on the school, because this is an addition. We want to make sure we've got the site fencing, and we want to make sure it's done well, it's done right, and we really want to analyze that. This is their time to add their wish list items based on everything we haven't talked about already. Once they've got done and concluded, then basically at this point, we're going to run into with the contractor. Do you have any new items? Yeah, we had a trade drop out. So now we're providing a new revised sub-trade list. Oh, great. Let's talk about this. These are important things. Any business that they may have. Under architecture, maybe this is where we're going to note that, I'll be leading charge of the project. We do have Chris, our field reviewer, is always going to be on site. Call him. Here's a cell number, whatever the case is. Any business that we have, any things that before we end this meeting, we want to get out. Same thing for civil, structural, mechanical, electrical. Do they have any items that they want to talk about and bring it to this, to the attention of the team? Nope. Great. No new items. We'll just carry on. Pretty straightforward. Landscape. Hey, do we need to be part of these meetings? No, we don't feel it. We'll call upon you if we need it. We expect you to be kind of near the end of the project when we get into planting. Maybe the planting is going to be phased in different phases. Who knows, right? It all depends on that project, and we're going to get into it. Geotechnical. Certainly they should be at this meeting because we want to hear their thoughts. Yes, we'll be outside. We're going to test. We're going to review a couple of initial lifts of the existing soil. We want to kind of make sure it's matching what we noted in the report. All these good things to keep it moving in that respect. Building envelope, call them when ready, when you've got a mock-up of the walls. Talk about what mock-ups that you want to see from this aspect. Great ideas to kind of get the conversation. You're a long ways from it, but have the conversations early. Once it's all done, basically a note with the time that it end, and then of course note when the next site meeting is going to be. Great, July 8th at 10 a.m. on site. Fantastic. End of notes, meeting adjourned. Save it. Shake hands. Go take a client out for lunch. Wherever the case is, you're done that site meeting. Fantastic. Get back to the office. Go through your notes, and like we talked at the last site meeting, these are all going to be 1.02. 1.03, and you're going to go through and finish out the list. You're going to PDF this and you're going to send it off. And of course, before you send it off, make sure this doesn't say agenda, that it says notes, because it is your notes now. Save it, send it off, and away you go. Do a save as, put it already for the next site meeting, get proactive, and then start clearing out all these items that you've closed off, because we're not going to do an introduction to them. We're not going to have the central Dropbox items. We've already talked about this, and those have already been concluded. But you're going to get rid of, you will still have site safety, but all the other stuff you're not going to have is just really clean items. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to show you what that agenda more looks like. So now we've advanced to meeting number 2, and you're going to see that we've got our high level of our generals there. We got site safety, security, and again, all those items that we went into there. We've got the schedule, progress claim, shop drawings, and the list is much shorter than that first initial site kickoff meeting. So again, just kind of concluding this portion of it and why you run it. It's really important. just to go over that, set the precedent, set the grounds. Any questions? Now the time's to ask. If there's any clarifications that you need to ask due to the contract, contractor, owner, you, this is your time, right? Just to get it all cleaned up, ready to go. And, now we know what we know what to expect from the whole team. So in closing, every site meeting has to be tracked, right? So this is important, whether it's your first or your second or meeting 50, we want to track it in that sense. Highly recommend just taking notes during a meeting. Use your laptop. You'll train yourself, and it's great because the moment that meeting is done, you just do some little fine tweaking to it, some spelling, whatever the case is, and boom, get it out. Get it out there, and don't wait too long. Don't wait 3-4 days. Try and get it out the same day. There's a lot of value of it, and plus it's a lot less stress off yourself. Get it out there. You don't have to be too detailed, right? It's not a love story here, right? It's just retrain your brain. Contractor to follow up with invoices, contractor to follow up with revised pricing, waiting for revised pricing, waiting for mechanical, right? Super simple, to the point. Put who is responsible on the action item list there, and really, really simple. Okay. And like I said, be sure to catch up the other episodes. Links are in below. Especially check out the Granola AI, fantastic tool that I use. There is a free month referral link. It helps out the show, keeps it being hitting the channels here. So appreciate every of that. But definitely check it out, because again, this is a 3-part series to that. But I hope this kind of helps give you the confidence on what's going to come out at your first site meeting, what to kind of discuss, and just go in with an agenda, run it like a boss, and you'll kick ass at the end of the day. So anyhow, architects, keep designing. Contractors, keep making those blueprints reality. We'll see you on the next one.